I recently picked up a copy of George Orwell's Why I Write. I will happily admit that for most of my life, I have avoided politics like the plague. On that basis alone, I should never have picked up Orwell's book. The subtitle of Orwell's book reads, "Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder acceptable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind." Not a very promising start, but I was intrigued. Early on in the book, he says something that immediately struck a chord with me. He talks about his early desire to be a writer. He recollects writing from the age of 5. And if I was doing any writing at that age, it was solely for school. I did have a poem published when I was around 10 years old. But again, this was the result of a school assignment, if I recall. I was good at writing, but I couldn't honestly say that I saw myself doing it as a profession. According to Orwell, a writer's motivation for putting pen to paper can only be understood in the context of his or hers early development. Orwell himself was writing at a time of war and a seemingly inevitable invasion of Britain by the Nazis. Other writers I can think of, such as Robert Sobukwe or Steve Biko, were writing at a time of struggle against an oppressive racist regime. Parking the obvious financial motivation, Orwell outlines other things that drive a person to write. Firstly, what he calls sheer egoism. This is the first one that resonates with me if I recall the experiences I had in my youth. As the label suggests, this is a motive founded in vanity, the desire to be perceived as intelligent, to be remembered long after you pass away, to gain notoriety and so on. What I found interesting was his statement that there is a minority of gifted, willful people that are determined to live their own lives to the end, and writers belong to that class. The idea of living my own life to the end holds a great deal of attraction for me, even recognizing the somewhat self-centered origins of this particular motivation. The second motivation that he highlights is called the aesthetic enthusiasm. I read this as writing for the beauty of it, the craft and the pleasure that you would get from putting together a piece of writing. This is something that I've come to appreciate more and more as I've taken the very tentative steps towards writing. I notice it more in publications like The Economist and certain books written by what you'd call sort of old school authors. The third is historical impulse. Now, Orwell thinks that the desire to uncover the truth and leave these facts for future generations will drive some people to want to write. Now, personally, I think this should be the primary reason for writing non-fiction. And the fourth motivational urge is based on the political purpose. This is where idealism comes into play. The writer is seeking to push a particular social agenda and influence people's thinking. The implication is that a lot of what we read is likely to be infused with some kind of political bias. This is not so much a reason to pick up a pen to write, but a reason to educate myself about politics so that I can give myself the best chance of identifying political bias in a piece of writing. Now that we've identified what appear to be the sort of primary reasons for taking up writing, at least according to accomplished writers such as Orwell, the question I ask myself is whether I can box my own writing ambitions neatly into any one of the above. What about you? I'm inclined to agree with Orwell that at any given point in time, the motives for writing will likely come into conflict with each other. Does writing for the beauty of the crafting of words always sit comfortably with the drive to achieve a particular political purpose? What about the need to earn money? Can it be reconciled with seeking to document the truth for both current and future generations? My newfound interest in political philosophy has not yet triggered a burning political motivation behind my writing. If I achieve anything as a writer, I hope it will be that I wrote the truth.